Snipers, you have to see what's happening to the cryptocurrency market today as the Bitcoin bears are challenging the bulls right now, taking Bitcoin's price below 35,000 US dollars on a Monday. And notice here how when we come into the 4-hour chart, we are starting to see rising sell pressure. And when we look at the more micro time frames, this is why I tell each and every one of you guys tuned into the Snipers channel, our levels are extremely important. Notice how the one candle on the 50-minute chart that went below the $35,000 level is exactly where we saw all of this sell pressure. And as you all know, everything morphs from the smaller time frames to the larger time frames. And so when we go on the 1-minute chart, notice how there is a lack of buy volume and there is a lot of sell pressure right now, and this is a major puzzle piece on the table because the bears are certainly winning the battles right now. But the question is, are the bulls winning the war? And so we're going to look at Bitcoin's price, of course, and then take a look at what's happening to the total cryptocurrency market cap chart. On the weekly chart, we have a full candle below home base for the first time ever since the start of this bull market. This is a major puzzle piece on the table. I want to talk about what I'm expecting for the overall market and how we may see altcoins perform, because when we look at what's happening to Ethereum, notice here on the Ethereum to US dollar price, we are still above the 100 period moving average on the daily chart, and the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart is showing a lot of strength. And that is saying that Ethereum is the better asset right now to hold against Bitcoin. And so this is a major puzzle piece for altcoins. We'll also look at others' dominance, of course, as we always do, and then Bitcoin dominance. And then traditional markets are showing us that we potentially have a bullish environment for the cryptocurrency market with the DXY breaking below this previous weekly open. This is a major puzzle piece. And of course, right now the market is down, but tomorrow is turnaround Tuesday. Are we going to see a potential lower low form for Bitcoin or a higher low and then see continued upside? I'm going to talk about that today. We have a lot to cover. You guys are watching the Snipers channel. Remember to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. First, I want to talk about exactly what's happening to Bitcoin. Just like we've been talking about over the last 3 weeks, we are seeing Bitcoin follow the path of least resistance when there's low volume, which is always going to be sideways to a little bit higher due to inflation, of course, which affects the price of assets every single second. And so understand that at this point, because we're below 35,000 US dollars, this is the door that could potentially bring Bitcoin's price down to the $24,000 area, even towards the $22,000 area, where we know there's a lot of distribution and supply in this zone. And below 30,000, there really isn't much distribution or supply, because when Bitcoin broke through the $24,000 level, it went straight into the 30,000s. And because of that, the fact that we're below 35,000 right now is a concern. And that's why I've been talking about this symmetrical triangle being a no trade zone 70% beyond the structure, because of course we already tried to break out, and any symmetrical triangle, for those that understand technical analysis, typically breaks out as it heads 70% towards the apex, which is the end of the triangle. And that's exactly what we saw. For those in Discord, we took the long here, we broke out, and we failed. The bears are winning the battles right now. But are the bulls winning the war? That has to do with the total cryptocurrency market cap chart. We'll look at that in just a second. But I do need to address the worst case scenario again of what could happen to Bitcoin. Just realize that we've already cleared longs and margin traders up to the $30,000 level. For us to see volatility and potentially a lower low or a higher low form is on the table, and I believe it is highly likely, because that could still be the path of least resistance, going sideways to a little bit higher until we can get a more confident directional confirmation for Bitcoin. We know that in every bull cycle in the past, we've never come down to a previous all-time high. And so do I expect Bitcoin to see a significant downside scenario? I don't think so. But for us to see volatility in the path of least resistance is highly likely. And what do we know happens typically when Bitcoin consolidates? Well, that's typically the time that altcoins start to see upside. And so we're going to talk about altcoins because there is a potential decoupling effect happening right now with Bitcoin and the altcoins, but that could come off the table if the total cryptocurrency market cap chart shows a confirmation of a reversal of trend below the 20-week moving average. We'll talk about that in a sec, but I do want to address the upside potential for Bitcoin here. So at this point, we want to come into the hourly chart and the 4-hour chart. The reason I had to get this quick update to you guys is because this is the first full hourly candle below 34,788, which is the major level. That's right at that $35,000 level. We also broke this market structural support level. That's why we saw the volume come in. And so at this point, we need to reclaim 34,788 with hourly candles and then 4-hour candles if we want to assume further upside. We have 2 hours and 28 minutes left for this 4-hour candle. That means we have 2 hours of potentially more downside up to the $24,000 level. Be extremely careful right now with this 4-hour candle. We don't know how this wick could be. We don't know how significant or severe it could be. But what I do know is there's a lot of time left. There's 2 hours and 24 minutes left, or 2 hours and 27 minutes left to be exact. And in that time frame, since we're already below the $34,800 level, there's a potential we could see insane amounts of volatility in the next 2 hours. So I had to get this quick update to you guys. If we don't see a crazy amount of volatility, that's totally fine. Bitcoin is following the path of least resistance. And so once we reclaim 35,000, we can start talking about upside scenarios. But if we want to get back into a safer zone for Bitcoin, we need to get above 35,700, which is the weekly open and the previous weekly open, and it'll get us back above the structural support level. And so that would be the upside confirmation to start looking at upside targets. But for now, we have to address the chart for what it is and be an umpire and realize that when Bitcoin consolidates, it's typically when altcoins see strength. Look at the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart showing continuous upside here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 daily candles so far in green. That is saying that Ethereum is the better asset right now. We look at the Ethereum to US dollar price, $2,600, still hanging on to this channel support. And of course, if we start to come up above this 50-day moving average at 2,900 and really that $3,000 big even, we have a potential scenario for Ethereum to come up to the $3,500 level. For the downside at this point, of course, Bitcoin affects the overall market. I think the 100-period moving average is going to continue to hold because the altcoin dominance chart is very similar to the Ethereum to US dollar chart, where we're sitting between the 50-day and the 100-period moving average. So I don't expect either of these to break that level. And so that means that I don't think Ethereum will come anywhere below 2,400 for the short term. That's also confluence with the previous weekly open and that 100-day moving average. And so if we start to get confirmations above 2,900 and 3,000, we could expect some upside, and we want to hold that $2,400 level. I think that would potentially even be a good long opportunity. So, and as long as we continue to see the total cryptocurrency market cap chart above the 20-week moving average, this is a major puzzle piece, snipers. Right now, we have the first weekly candle since the start of this bull market to be fully below home base at the 20-week moving average. Notice that we've never come below this yellow line. This is a major puzzle piece for the overall cryptocurrency market. Could we assume this is a bearish flag that might see continuation to the downside? That could be a case that we could make as an umpire. We need to monitor this chart. We need to get above the monthly open at this point and really get back at this 20-week moving average. Even a wick to hold on to it would be sufficient for my needs. But with Bitcoin, of course, we saw the complete opposite. Every weekly candle has come far and below home base. And so that's why I see a potential decoupling effect. And the confirmation is going to be getting back above home base for the total cryptocurrency market cap chart, sitting right at that $1.7 trillion level. Yesterday or a couple days ago is at 1.6 trillion. And so it's a moving average. Of course, it moves, right? So we need to monitor 1.7 trillion. A sign of strength will come above 1.75 trillion. And so that is what we're watching for the total cryptocurrency market cap chart. Tomorrow's turnaround Tuesday. It might be a good thing that we're seeing downside today. Is it the time to buy for turnaround Tuesday to see upside? Who knows? What I do know is the others dominance chart is still showing strength. Bitcoin dominance is showing weakness. And then when we look at what's happening to traditional markets, the environment outside of the cryptocurrency market that affects the cryptocurrency market, we're seeing positive things here. We're seeing the DXY come back below the previous weekly open into this range where if we stay below this previous weekly open at 90.056, then we could see the cryptocurrency market continue into price discovery, because seeing a calm DXY is very positive for assets, and it allows institutions to be more comfortable investing in markets when there's less volatility with the US dollar value. And so the DXY is actually showing quite positive traits to assume that Bitcoin could bottom out at some point or another. Remember, we already cleared the longs down to 30,000. That's all open field for Bitcoin. S&P 500, so far daily bullish wick, looking like it wants to come and break to new all-time highs. That's a positive for the crypto market. Is it the time to buy? It seems like it's a good area right now in the crypto market. Start dollar cost averaging into your favorite altcoins, as I've been saying over the last few weeks since we've seen this 50% correction. Gold showing strength, looking like it wants to climb up this breakdown candle. If we get back above this high here of 1910, we could potentially see new highs for gold. And here's a huge puzzle piece that I want to leave on the table for each and every one of you for Bitcoin. Notice how my videos have kind of changed in the narrative of we're covering altcoins differently than we're covering Bitcoin. For a long time, the total cryptocurrency market cap chart was very correlated to the Bitcoin chart, but now we're seeing a decoupling effect. You can see we have a potential death cross coming here with the 50-day going to cross below this 200-day for Bitcoin. With the total cryptocurrency market cap chart, we're just not seeing the same type of movement. You can see the 50-day is still above the 100-day. So it looks like there's a decoupling effect. And when we look at the gold to Bitcoin chart, this is just against Bitcoin, not the overall market. It looks like this cup and handle is starting to form where we're seeing gold come back and the bulls are fighting the Bitcoin bulls right now. And it looks like the gold bulls are winning against Bitcoin as we have a potential cup and handle that could break out here. I don't know. Bloomberg's changing the storyline, saying Bitcoin's not a storage of value anymore. Is that them trying to get Bitcoin back to the 2017 level so that they can make their own entries because they just want to bring the market down, get a better position? Is that the institutions playing games with retail traders? Who knows? Are they getting retaliation from the Wall Street bets phase of 2020? I don't know. The point is, gold is showing strength against Bitcoin. You have to address this for what it is as an umpire. And so that's a puzzle piece on the table. Is the cryptocurrency market decoupling from altcoins? I'd love to hear each and every one of your opinions in the comments below. And now enter you into a giveaway to win Principles by Ray Dalio, one of my favorite books on investing. And I thank each and every one of you snipers for tuning into our channel today. I couldn't do this without you. I'm back from Bitcoin Miami. What an amazing time. It was so cool to meet some of you guys, hearing your stories and how the Traders Profit Club family has impacted you really keeps me going. And it's what I appreciate and love the most about what I do and making these videos for you guys. So thank you so much. And let's see here. HD says, great video as always. Best TA hands down. Send me a message on Instagram. The link is in the description below. You want a book. And until then, be careful. I wanted to get this video out as soon as possible because this 4-hour candle has 2 hours left. We could see whatever the bears want us to see in those 2 hours. So let's be careful. But remember, the path of least resistance is sideways to a little bit higher. And the previous all-time high down here, I don't expect to be retested. This is possibly a good opportunity to start looking at your favorite altcoins and dollar cost averaging those long-term positions, right? Those are the opportunities that only come every year or so. And so let's be very cautious of what's happening and be aware. And with that, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you for tuning into the Snipers channel today. Until next time, Snipers out.